Okay, folks, here we are in video 2. We're gonna try fire lighting with my friend Dave's kit. I'm not gonna actually build a fire here. I feel that if I can make the accelerants work, if I can make the catch these on fire, once you get some fat wood on fire, I think I can pretty well be assured that I can get a fire with any kind of decent kindling, tinder, etc. at all. What I'm concerned about is seeing exactly how the things that Dave has put in his kit here function. So again, quick review if you didn't see the first video. We've got kind of the standard little survival tin. Inside there's some fat wood sticks. This is fat wood shavings and magnesium shavings. This is magnesium powder as an accelerant. And he's got 5 of the survival matches. In the lid, he's got a match striking surface glued in there. So what I'm going to do, I've just got a piece of tin here. The ground is soaking wet. We just had a flood of rain over the past 2 days. The fire danger is absolutely zero. I'm just going to do a living ignition test here and see how this stuff works. One thing that I thought about since the last video, Dave, that I would tell you is I would include some of these strips, maybe take some tin, some old metal, anything, and cut them out in the shape of the strip that you want. The longer you can get these strips, the better. And I would glue a couple of them and put them inside here, rather than attaching them to the inside of the lid. The reason I would do that is because if you add some cotton cloth or have a bandana or a handkerchief with you, then you can take your knife, poke a hole in this, put it in there. Once you get your first fire going, if you're going to be out longer than expected, with a hole there, you put your cloth in, set it on the edge of the fire, and you'll see when it starts smoking, and make you some char cloth. Even if you move this over to the side, I fear the heat from the fire would damage this to where it wouldn't work. So that's just something for extended use. If that's not something you're worried about, then there you go. But just something that you might want to think about. So I think the first thing I'm going to do to increase my chances, we're all going to have a knife. As you know, mine is pretty much a knife channel. This is one of the knives that I use the most. It's a Murray Carter Super Blue Steel. It's called, the model that he calls it is a Wharncliffe Brute. Has ironwood handles. I don't know how much figure you can see in those. Now, they're really highly figured, but this gets used all the time, so they're dirty and stained. And when I clean them up, this can really be a beautiful knife, and it just is made for my hand. So I'm going to take one of these, and let's see. Boy, this is hard to do from behind the camera, but all I want to do is take some of this fat wood, and I hope this is staying on there, and just do the old feather sticking routine. And I'm being really careful because I just sharpened this knife. I have very little purchase on this fat wood, but as you can see, it's making me, I hope you can see, I think it's still in there, it's making me some nice little curls. And let's see, yep, that was too much, but we can just set it in the pile. You really have to have a light touch with this because it just goes straight through this thing otherwise. And let's see if we can, whoa, still in frame, yeah. We'll get a few more here, just to increase our chances of lighting that fat wood. Put it over there. We'll collect this extra one, put it in, make sure you guys are still in frame. Now he provided two things. We have the magnesium powder. I don't know that we need to we'll test a little of this just so you can see how it goes, but I think we all pretty much know that's gonna go right up. I'm very interested to see how this will catch, and that should really provide you know, a great little start for our fat wood there. So let's take some of this, and I think the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to dump out some, a nice good pile here, maybe too much, and then I'm just going to turn the feather stick portion right down in it like that. And although I got a lighter, we will use his matches because that's what he provided. And we will use his striker. And they're starting right, it's starting right off the, this started right off the match just as it was. The magnesium and the other is burning well. I think it's quite clear that we could start a fire with that without any problem whatsoever. Let me pull this out and put it out. We don't need that. And I'm going to use the container to snuff the rest of that out. So I would call that a very successful test. That worked quite well. Again, the only thing that I see, I would add some cloth that I could make char cloth out of that with, and then I would move this to inside this container right here on just a cut a metal strip and glue this to the metal, put maybe a couple of them in there. These particular matches seem to work good. I said on the other video, I'll say it again, if you buy some of these, try them. I've had some where they just instantaneously almost, the whole thing would burn up and they didn't give you any time to start anything. So a little bit of prep here, very little, and we had a tinder going that would start just about anything reasonable. This, you can see I use very little of it. The fat wood actually started on its own almost instantly off of these shavings. So if you've got that, I call that a real win. So Dave, I think you got a good little kit here, and if you can find anything to burn, I'm pretty sure that you're not going to have any trouble with this whatsoever. I'm actually going to save that. I'm going to put it back in here. Our third and final video in this series will be to use this exact same kit, and we're going to use it in inclement weather. We're going to wait till we get a rainy day here in Georgia, which doesn't take long, and we'll try it with you know, damp conditions, high humidity, hopefully some wind like today, and just see what happens. So that's test number 2 in this series, and you guys take it easy, and we will talk.